Okay, and hello, welcome back to Catching Up with Kate, episode 6, I believe. Um, oh boy. Today we are going to be talking about a bunch of stuff, I suppose. And I think I wanted to talk about some, I suppose, more serious things today, and I don't know how it's going to go down, I don't know how it's going to be received, so it's just some stuff that I've been thinking about a lot, there's just some things that have just been on my mind, and especially with some drama that's been happening lately, it's kind of gotta talk about it, otherwise my head will explode. Yay! So so a bit of a warning, things might get a little bit heavy, but I will try to bring it back up. Line go up. We'll try. No promises though, because the only topics I have planned today were the sad and hard ones. And the hard topic's me. I'm hard right now. Anyway, so oh boy, where do I start? Okay, let's catch up with me first. So, get this. Last podcast episode, I did my podcast, I finished it, obviously, uploaded it, all that good stuff, right? And then I was streaming, and I do my podcast and I stream, and I'm in the middle of doing stuff, and I get a text message on my phone, and I'm like, oh, it's weird. I don't usually get text messages. I don't usually receive anything on my phone. Just emails. Emails about promotions. Yeah. So then I'm looking at the text, and I'm mid-stream, and I'm like, hold on, guys. And I'm reading it, and I'm processing what I'm reading, and my friggin' therapist is breaking up with me. I like to joke about that. She's not really breaking up with me. She's, apparently she has, another job that she's gonna pursue now, and it's not gonna be therapy anymore, so now my therapist is gone after, working with her for, almost a year. So I think I've done 7, 8 sessions with her. I don't know, I go once a month, really. So I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but I feel like we were really starting to unpack a lot of things, and it was nice to have, and to be oh, I have a really good therapist and I really like her, and she's very good. And I think it's just been kind of hard being oh, well, now she's gone, I guess. So that's that. And that's kind of hard when you build up kind of I don't want to say a relationship, but you kind of build up something, and then it's oh, well, now it's gone. So it was really hard to process all of that. And then on top of that, the same day, I found out that one of my friends has cancer, and that just made it even harder. And I'm not trying to make it about me, you know what I'm saying? I'm just being 2 really bad things happen in one day. So last Monday, I definitely had a bit of a cry. Definitely had a bit of a, I had a moment, but I was thinking about it last night, and I was thinking it's really interesting though, because I think that the way I processed all these things happening on this Monday, I think is a testament to how much therapy has helped me. And I think something that I learned about that I didn't really believe in until I started doing therapy was attachment theory and stuff. And if you don't know what attachment theory is, there's different styles of attachment, meaning that you attach and form bonds to people in a specific kind of way, but it doesn't mean that you're always gonna have that attachment style. You can change it. But I know that I had a avoidant type of attachment style where when things get hard, I avoid people. I don't talk about my problems. I don't what else did I do? Be able to shut off from people really easily. I guess easily. It's not really easy. It's just a different type of way to be. And I could kind of feel myself wanting to do that with like my therapist, like, because the clinic's like, oh, you know, she's gonna be still working until like this date, so you have until then to, you know, do your last session and figure things out. She can recommend other people to you or something, you know, recommend you go to a different therapist. And on the day that I found out, I was like, so, like, what the fuck is the point? I just don't see why I should do that. I don't think I need to do that. I'll just forget about it and just like deal with it when I need to go see a therapist again. And the next day I was like, okay, obviously that's not the right way to go about it, because, you know, that desire for me to just be like, whatever, like, throw it away, I don't care, she's leaving, bye. You know, it's like that instinct to like want to do like what's easy, because that would be the easier thing to do, you know, easier on my wallet and easier on my brain. I wouldn't have to say goodbye. I wouldn't have to be like, this is our last session, wah. And that would be hard to do, you know. I don't think I'm gonna cry over it. I think or anymore. I think it's just like one of those things where it's like a hard social thing to do, you know. It's interesting, but it's kind of hard. And so I could just see in my head like these two little, like, the angel and the demon like fighting each other, and then the demon part of me is like, we should just like not do anything, it's fine, whatever. Trying to downplay it, and then the angel in my head's like, that would just be engaging in your tendencies to be like blah, you know? Your tendencies to avoid things and do things the wrong way, I think. So I think the right way is to just go see her for that last session and deal with things then, because I do kind of need to know if, like, where I should go from here, and I think it'd be good to get like her perspective on it. Obviously in our last session she was talking about like, oh, you know, I don't think you need any more therapy, but I guess there are some things that I want to air out as well. Like, I want to be like, oh, you know, it just, the timing of everything just seems like weird to me, and it made me feel like, God, I hate to say it, but it really did make me think like, oh, you know, we were supposed to talk about EMDR in our last session, and it was just never brought up, and I kind of wasn't sure how to bring it up, if I should, because then she's talking about like, oh, you don't need therapy anymore. So I'm kind of like, I want to bring up to her and be like, you know, is there a coincidence that we just weren't discussing those things? Were you trying to keep things under wraps? I mean, I understand if she was, but I want an explanation, because like, we were talking about EMDR and now suddenly it's like not even, now I'm being told I don't need therapy at all. Like, I don't know. It's one of those things where, yeah, I see myself getting better. I see myself improving like a lot since I started therapy, and dealing with anxiety a lot better. I think that's good. I think I feel a lot more prepared to do things that I am not familiar with, which is one of those things that like I really needed to get used to, I think. And I think I'm getting there slowly, but you know, it is what it is. There's definitely been an improvement. We both see that, but I mean, to say that I don't need therapy at all anymore is like, obviously it was posed as more of a question, like, do you think you need therapy still? And I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe. I don't know. We were discussing EMDR and now we haven't even mentioned it. So I did like a bunch of tests for it and nothing came back about that. So I'm just like, what's happening here? What's happening here? I don't know. So yeah, there are some things I do need to ask her about that I think would help me feel like I need things cleared up, I suppose. Because it does make me wonder, like, was anything that she said just kind of like, she just wants to tie up the loose ends before she goes or something? That was kind of like what went through my head a little bit. You know, she's professional, I get it. She's like good at what she does. I like her, I enjoy her work. But yeah, there was that like question in my mind, and so I don't know. I need answers, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, it's like one of those things like, do I think I still need therapy? doing really good lately. I've been doing like really, really well. Since I stopped drinking, I'm not doing anything else, you know, and I just have so much energy. And yesterday I did so much cleaning and it felt really good. And then afterwards I was like, Caleb, I did so much cleaning. Methinks I deserve a reward in the form of like a frappe or baked goods. So I went to McDonald's and got me a frap. Yeah. I paid for it, but I deserved a reward. I did so much cleaning and I felt so good about it too. It was really nice. I've been enjoying that, I think. I want to get into like some more like cleaning and getting rid of some just crap I don't need anymore. Don't worry, the My Little Ponies are safe. I'm hanging on to them. More like just like little knickknacks. I don't know. I have like so many boxes full of like little trinkets. Where are my trinkets? My little trinkets, you know? And I'm gonna get rid of some stuff. Maybe even some old clothes. I need new clothes. Like, badly. Oh, God, everything is so expensive. Oh, God. How can anyone get like a new wardrobe in this day and age? I mean, it's unreal. It's literally unreal. So, I don't know. I don't know about any of that. I don't know about any of that stuff. So yeah. Yeah. What else is happening with me? Yeah, so I'm doing really good. Emotionally. Energy's been really good. My sleep and wake schedule's been a lot better. I haven't been having as many nightmares. I've been really comfortable just going to bed. I have like 3 blankets on the bed now, which is kind of excessive, but there's something about the extra weight that just like feels so cozy. I don't know what it is. I mean, it's autumn now in Australia, so we're heading into winter. If you know your seasons, winter's coming up. Surprise. Sorry, I hope I didn't spoil that. And yeah, so it's getting really cold and the mornings are pretty chilly and all the blankets are just so good and cozy and I missed it. I really missed having that like cozy rugged up thing. You know what's nice about summer though and the warmer weathers is that I say weathers as if there's like more than one summer. The nice thing about summer is that like you have like one blanket and then you can kind of like be half in it, half out of it. You know, man, summers were so hard as a kid because I was so afraid of like dark that like even the hottest weather, I still had my blanket all over me because in your mind as a kid, or at least for me, if you had any body part hanging out, then the monsters would get you. Even though you'd wake up and have a foot hanging out and you weren't gone, you'd still be like, oh, I got lucky. Somehow I got lucky. So, yeah, I don't know. But I love summer now. Sleeping in summers is not so bad. It's really not. Now that I've grown up and I'm no longer afraid to have my body parts hanging out of the blanket, I'm fine. Sleeping is much nicer. Who would have thought? So, I like that. I like that change, you know? And I feel like winter's nice too. The cooler seasons. Oh my god, I woke up this morning and my alarm went off at 6:47 or 6:46. I'm trying to get up earlier, but I'm like doing it slowly, incrementally. And my god, Moochie was like, I sleep in the weirdest way. I sleep like these, my fingers are my legs. My legs, that's like that. Right? I'm like that. This is the bed. This is me. I always have like one leg up, bent 90-degree angle, and there's always a perfect space between both of my legs. apparently, according to the cats. And so Moochie was right in smack bang in that center. And I had to turn off my alarm, so then I had to reach over and then be like, oh, grab the phone. As I'm moving, it's like almost impossible to do that maneuver without moving your legs just a little bit. I've been doing yoga, but like, come on. And Moochie starts going, because he doesn't like it, because he's so cold. He just wants to be where it's warm, and he's angry because you're moving. And if his seat is moving, he's angry. Now my cats are wanting to come in. Can you leave? Hey, get out. No, fudge. I'll just let one of them in. Bubbles was sleepy in here and I had it closed, and now she wants to leave, but then that Bella in, so yay. Can we leave? Alright, whatever. Yeah, so I don't know, today is like a really interesting day because it's like sunny, not a cloud in the sky, it's warm, and I guess that's kind of autumn. Sometimes it's a bit chilly, sometimes a bit warmer, but I think in terms of like craziness, this summer wasn't that crazy. It was a bit late to start, which I can see why people are concerned about that, but the news kept going, it's going to be the hottest summer on record. You better buy some more air conditioners because this summer's going to blow your brains. So, yeah, and then it wasn't, so I don't know. I guess the weather's not so predictable. At least not in the news. I wouldn't trust the news for anything. Guys, if you ever come to Australia, don't watch the news. It's... oh, God. Actually, now that I think about it, something else really bad happened. We're gonna get serious now. So, I don't know if you heard, but in Sydney, there's been a lot of crimes, like big crimes happening in Sydney, and for us, a person stabbing people is like a big thing because it doesn't happen often, and something really sad did happen, and there was a guy who went on like a stabbing rampage at like Bondi Junction in Sydney, and it seemed like he was targeting women, and he stabbed a woman and her 9-month-old baby, and unfortunately the mother did not survive. The baby, I think, did, but it's just like, it's just horrible, you know? And, you know, the mother, she was trying to save her baby. She like, I think they got attacked by this fucking guy, and she like threw her baby at these random people to try and save, you know, help save it, which I'm sure probably did. And it's just like so heartbreaking because 9-month-old baby is just now motherless because of this dude who just decided, I'm gonna go and stab a bunch of people. Yay. I don't know. I have no way of knowing like what this guy was about or why he did the things he did. We just know that he did do them, and I don't care why, in a way. You know, if people want to say like, oh, he was having a mentee bee or drugs, I don't care. I mean, I guess I care in the sense that if those were like factors, then maybe the government should be doing more about those things, you know? Like mental health, it's definitely not as accessible as it should be, or affordable. But, I don't know, it's hard to tell. They managed to identify the dude, and obviously he got shot and killed by police, so he's not going to be around to answer any questions. So I don't know how I feel about that either. You know, I just think that, yeah, what I mean is that like it kind of sounds like bad, but I feel like it's too easy for him to just be killed by police. It's too easy, and it's too good for him. He deserves to go through the judicial system, and the victims also deserve to be able to make their statements. You know how victims will do victim statements. It's a way for people affected to get some closure, I wouldn't say reconciliation. I mean, like, just like closure, say your piece, and, you know, stuff like that. And I don't know. Like, I feel so angry. I feel so upset for the woman who passed away, you know, first time mother passed away. She's never going to see her kid again. It's so sad. You know, baby's left with no mum. A father, I think, is left with no wife. I don't know if they were married. It's weird, like, no one is mentioning the dad, like, at all with that. They keep saying the mother died, the baby is motherless, but, like, what about the dude who had the baby with her? Because I'm pretty sure I saw a photo of them all together in, like, a family picture. Like, what about him? He's lost a partner, right? Separated or not, that's massive. Or maybe he's not even in the picture anymore, I don't know. Yeah, they didn't really mention much about that. Understandably, I guess. But that's another thing. I can't even imagine, like, losing my partner in that kind of way. It's traumatizing for, like, everyone. So yeah, I think the dude should have gone to jail. Gone through judicial system. I don't know. But then you think, well, what help does that do? I guess it helps the victims, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not in charge of this stuff, so I have no clue. It's just my opinion. So yeah, it's pretty tough, and I think hearing this in the wake of all the attacks that were happening to women in New York, it's kind of making me feel like something's going on, you know? Because the Bondi stabby guy, I think all the people he attacked were women. There were 7 people who died from this fucking guy. This one dude. 7 people died. And I remember seeing something that said it was all women. I don't know if that's true, now that I'm thinking about it. It could have just been, I don't know, conjecture or something. So, take that with a grain of salt. I don't know if men were attacked in it. I mean, you might be like, oh, why does it matter, men or women? But I think I'm coming from the point of view of, like, being a woman in the wake of, like, the New York attacks where a bunch of women were getting punched, like, fucking, like, punched so hard that they were getting concussions. Yeah, in the wake of that, I'm starting to think that there's something sinister going on, something, like, really disgusting, if I'm being honest. And it's like, I don't really get it either, you know? I don't really get it. Like, why? What are we doing? What are we doing? We don't deserve this. I mean, even if we just, like, forget about the Bondi stabby guy, forget about that for a sec. The New York punches, the punches in New York. Why? Like, why do I have to keep saying it? Like, it doesn't make friggin' sense. And the thing about that is that those attacks were, like, not planned, but they were executed in such a way where they were targeting women who were, like, I don't know, on their phones, like, not really paying attention to their surroundings. So they figured they could get away with it. I don't know. Or it's an easy victim, and it was happening in, like, broad daylight around people even. And I just think, like, what is that? What is that about? What is that about? Just seems like coordinated, planned. Hey, Bill. Sorry, my cat's wanting attention. Yeah, and I don't know, as a woman, that kind of makes me feel like, oh, I don't want to go outside anymore. I don't want to interact with people anymore. And that kind of sucks. Because, dude, I don't get it out enough as it is. So I feel like a pressure to, like, need to go out. And then these things happen, and then makes me feel, oh, you know what? I actually don't want to go out. And I don't feel like that's even an okay excuse. Like, if I have something to do with people, I don't feel like I can be like, you know what? I'd love to see you, but I'm also afraid of being crimed. I'm afraid of crime happening to me. So, yeah, I don't think that's a good enough excuse, you know? I don't think people would really accept that. So, I mean, on the flip side, I'm kind of thinking, well, you know, the odds of something happening are pretty slim, you know? Pretty slim. And when I'm out and about, I'm paying attention to things anyway. I don't feel comfortable being outside and, like, not paying attention to my surroundings, you know? I think I pay almost too much attention to, like, everything. So yeah, it's weird things going on. Like, I know some people have said, like, oh, I think men are trying to, I'm not gonna say, actually, no, scratch that. These, like, misogynists, not even men, just these misogynists are trying to fight against the women's 4B movement. People say that, and it's a theory. I'll give it that. It's a theory. That's all it is at the moment. And I just think to myself, like, if that's true, if that were to be true, that would just be, like, the most, I don't know, point-proving thing ever. Now, if you don't know about the 4B movement, it's a thing that I think spawned from Korea, South Korea, and if you don't know, there's, like, this crazy dating culture in South Korea where, like, do I need to specify South Korea? I mean, I don't know about you, but when I say Korea, I just mean South anyway. So, anyway, the dating culture is so abysmal. I hear this from so many women saying that, you know, the guys, they just want to, you know, sleep with you the first date. They aren't kind. They're not nice. They're not at all what the K-dramas portray. Let's just say that, you know. Very opposite, and this is like first-hand accounts from Korean women, people traveling abroad to stay at Korea and stuff, and obviously not all the dudes are like that, but it seems like there's an overwhelming majority, and I wouldn't be surprised. I feel like when the culture is surrounded by, like, you know, women having these roles and men have these roles, and I think the same goes for Japan as well. I don't know so much about the dating culture in Japan, but, you know, these cultures have, like, they're very gender role oriented, you know? And it's very normal for the woman to take on specific jobs, and it's very normal for the men to do the same. So then when the young ones, they enter the dating world of 2024 with these insane expectations or thoughts, and then newsflash, things have changed, so I don't know. So I don't know much about that, but I do know a lot about the weird cameras. Do you know Korea has, like, a really bad thing with cameras in toilets, public toilets and stuff, bathrooms, Airbnbs? It's, like, really bad, apparently. Yeah, so there's stuff like that. I don't know. So anyway, because of all the, and I think there's also shitty things with, like, the women they're trying to encourage the women to have babies, so they're, like, gonna pay them, like, $35,000 for having one baby or something, and instead women want to be more supported, then they just want to be given a lump sum of money. They want to be seen as more than just, like, I make babies and the babies come out of me and then I look after the babies, woo, you know. I know a little bit about, I will be honest, I don't know a huge amount of, like, the specific details, but that's kind of what I know. I think there's, like, problems with, like, paternity and maternity leave or something, and that's why it's also the economy, I mean, everywhere. it's just not feasible to have children. So, I mean, I'm not gonna lie though, $35,000, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But then I think, well, kids are a lot of money, so how much is that money really gonna help you in the grand scheme of things? So, it sounds more like a band-aid solution from the government. So then, and I think there was also a lot of attacks on women in Korea, and I think that the laws are very different when you get assaulted. Gosh, I wish I could remember the specifics of that, but yeah, they have like these crazy assault problems and, you know, drinks being spiked, and it's just really not safe for women there to be dating by the sounds of it. So what happened is that the women are like, okay, we're just gonna like not date anymore, we're gonna not have children, we're just gonna all be celibate. It's kind of like females being involuntarily celibate in a way. But I don't know, it's kind of like I understand where they're coming from in a way, you know? I understand the frustrations and the so many bad experiences just make you go, what's the point in trying, you know? What's the point? It's really sad. It's really sad, and it's sad for everyone involved. Because I think that having like a partner who gets you, you can talk about things, you can have open discussion without judgment, violence, arguing. Having a partner who's just like supports you, it's like a wonderful experience that is unlike anything else that I've had in my life. And having a partner who can, I don't know, just like comfort you, understands you, gets to see all the sides of you that most people don't get to. It's like a experience that I think everyone should be able to have. I think everyone should deserve to get something like that. Some partnership where it's truly like, it's not toxic, it's supportive, I can't think of any more words to describe it. It's like waking up and just feeling happy for no reason. I mean, there is a reason, but no particular. It's not like waking up on Christmas Day with a PlayStation 5. It's like you wake up and you're just happy to be here. And like, happy to be here. Yep. Happy to be here. So, yeah. So, in some way, I'm like, yeah, women go. If you want to do that, then woohoo. But in other ways, I feel like closing yourself off from that entirely is like crazy, you know? Crazy to me. And it seems to me like both genders at the moment are just having this moment where they just don't trust anyone of the opposite gender. Men are like, women will have your kids and steal all your money, take your house, and women are like, men, they'll break your fucking heart and cheat on you no matter what. That's one of like the most insane things about TikTok, I have to say. Ever since I went on started being on TikTok, sorry, my jaw is like so sore today. I don't know what's happening. There's like this trend of people who tell stories about like, this is how I was cheated on for my 10-year relationship with the guy who I thought was perfect for me, and then it makes you go it makes me go psycho in my head because I'm like, holy fuck, what if that's me? What if one day that's fucking me? And I think that's what these videos benefit from. They benefit from us being like paranoid and like, you know, it's like 2 a.m. we're on our TikTok and our phone, we look over and we're like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, that's all I can say about it. That's fucking insane. Here's how I found out that my husband of 30 years actually has a secret family in fucking New Zealand. What the fuck? Oh, God. So I get the feeling, I get the vibe that like both genders don't really trust the other one that much anymore. I don't know if there ever was a trust, but that's why I feel like we shouldn't really be judging in like groups, and we should just be judging on like individuals. OMG, judge on individuals, not groups. God. It's easier said than done though, I suppose. And yeah, I mean, to that I say, if you feel like you're a man or a woman and you just don't want to F with relationships, then cool, man, cool. You do you, girl. I see it, and I understand the desire to not be seen as like a baby maker and to be like given actual, what is it, rights or benefits. Because at the moment, I know that in America, when you give birth, you get like no maternity or paternity leave. You get like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. That's insane. Just 2 weeks? What? I don't know about you, but I feel like it should be a little bit longer than that. 2 weeks, that's like Christmas holidays, and then you're back to school. And that's another thing. You know the Christmas holidays, 2 weeks, and you're back to fucking school? What is that? That's ridiculous. That is a ridiculously small amount of time. And then when you get to university, the holidays you have there are just ridiculously long. So it's like the opposite problem. So yeah. Gosh. Yeah. We're just having a whole bunch of problems in society lately, aren't we? And it's, I don't know, it's hard to not feel like it's getting worse. It's hard to not feel like there's just so much bad happening. So, I know the first episode I ever did, I was like, let's stop talking about so much gloom and doom. I'm not going to say the world's doomed. I think that there's a lot of good that's been done, or at least the way we're seeing like voting skewing upwards to be more like, you know, earth-centered, health-centered, environmental, feels good. Voting more for like the people who have greener policies, that's good. We love to see that. The less conservative the better, because God, I don't even want to talk about this because I know like I just know all of the talking points I just cannot be bothered fucking with right now. But yeah, so let's move on. Because that's cringe. Okay, here's something a little bit more like pop culture-y, kind of moving into something a bit serious, but I'm not trying to be too serious, okay? So like, let me preface this by saying, what do I want to do? What do I want to preface this with? I don't know. We'll just go into it. Okay, so recently, you know Tana Mojo, the blonde chick who did TanaCon and had that massive failure of like a con because she wanted to replace TwitchCon or something, or YouTube Awards, I don't fucking know which one it was. She wanted to replace something because she wasn't allowed to go to one of the big functions for like content creators. And so she's been like really controversial, I guess, since her come up of being a YouTuber. She used to do crazy story times where she was like, story time, here's how I almost got kidnapped, and like stuff like that. And yeah, so she's been like controversial, right? And Brittany Broski, you know, is one of my favorites. I love her. I love her podcast. I love her content. Her TikToks are crazy good. she's a funny gal. And she used to be known as Kombucha Girl, if you don't know. God, what else is she? She's just really funny, I think. She's a funny Texan woman. Anyway, on Tana's podcast with her and this other chick, I forgot her name. They were talking, and Tana was like, "Oh, I really have to get something off my chest," and she aired out Britney's like DMs. I'm gonna be real. She aired her DMs out, man, and the fallout on that has been crazy, which I'm not surprised about, because the fallout when it came to Britney and Palestine, that I have been thinking about that non-stop lately, and I want to talk about it. I want to talk about it because I feel like there's things that need to be said, and more importantly, things that need to be heard. Like, open your ears, you know? Ugh. So, on the one hand, let's start off with this. Tana is like, "Hey Brittany," I'm doing texting. "Hey Brittany, I would love for you to be on the podcast. Yoo-hoo! We love you. You're the best." And then Brittany's like, "OMG, I would love to be on your podcast. But if I went on your podcast, my fans would fucking kill me. Teehee." Anyway, I'm so glad I can talk to you about this in the DMs. Okay, that last part I put in. But they're DMs, they're private, okay? And so Tana brings this all out in the open on her podcast. She gives us the scoop. And Tana's offended because she's like, "Why does Britney think that her fans are gonna skin her alive for being on my podcast? You know, the cancelled podcast." And Brooke, her co-host, I think Brooke was agreeing with her or something, and I was kind of thinking about this and thinking, like, this is... I think, Tana, this is why you're probably controversial, right? I think they took something very whatever and made it into, like, such a big thing, and, you know, they're saying that they're confused. Like, why would Britney say that? Why does Britney think that? Because we think there's a lot of overlap of fans and stuff. And I think what people don't understand, I think because the internet moves so quickly, the whole Palestine Britney thing probably glossed over so quickly for everyone, but it definitely didn't for Britney, I think. Now, to talk about the Palestine Britney thing, gosh, I don't even remember, like, how many months ago it happened, but it happened, like, months ago, right? And there was, like, this thing where she just hadn't talked about it since, like, the whole mass of reports about it been happening, the media, everyone else talking about it. Britney hadn't said anything. And if you don't watch Britney's content, she's fairly, like, political on her podcast. I think it's the only place she's really, like, kind of political, but even then I feel like a lot of, like, her political takes are, like, coming from the perspective of, like, someone who grew up very, like, religious, conservative, and as an adult, she's, like, navigating, learning more about the world, and learning more about the struggles of, like, others and stuff, and learning she's, like, unlearning a lot of things that she was taught and learning more about the world, right? She talks about that a fair bunch, so she is cool. I think she opens the discussion for politics, but I don't think she has, like, a centralized political podcast. I would say her podcast is kind of just like an hour of just her brain, like, unloading things that are interesting to her, just unloading it for an hour or something. And then sometimes you get the song of the week, hot dude of the week. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Anyway, and it got to a point where her fans some people started saying, like, "Hey, when are you going to speak about Palestine?" Or, you know, "Why can't you just say, like, free Palestine and get it over with," or something. And people were just trying to pressure her to say something about, you know, the obvious travesty that's happening at the moment, that's really, I don't know, ravaging. It's really predominant in the media at the moment, understandably. Because what's going on in Palestine is insane, right? I just think that, like, a lot of people say, like, oh, it's so easy for you to talk about these other things that you're learning about Brittany. Why can't you just talk about Palestine and say something like right now? Do it right now, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, these people are, like, pressuring her to come out and say something, and I don't know. They're like, everyone's saying it's really important that you say something, Brittany. You have to say something. And I feel like I disagree. And I disagree for a few reasons, okay? So let me just explain myself first. Whoa, let me explain myself. You know, obviously what's happening is insanely horrible, and there should absolutely be a ceasefire. The atrocities should be put to a halt. Should never have happened in the first fucking place. But in saying that, I want to talk about, like, the pressuring content creators to send a message, you know? I get it. We're always talking about, like, people with big platforms having a responsibility to use that platform for, you know, quote unquote good, right? Or bringing awareness to things, you know? And I get that. I think it's important to bring awareness to things. I dedicated my October last year to trying to bring awareness to men's mental health, which I still think is a very important thing to bring awareness to. And I just think that what a lot of people don't seem to realize, and this is going to sound very cynical and very horrible, and I'm not trying to be brutally honest, I don't enjoy that. I don't think that's, like, a good way to be, but no matter how it sounds, it's kind of the truth. And the truth is that, like, despite everything that's happening in Ukraine, Gaza, to the Palestinian people, yeah, all the bad stuff that's happening at the moment, the world has not stopped doing its thing. Society has not paused because these things are happening. And I know it's so easy to, like, look at a creator and be like, you do nothing. You do nothing all day. Why can't you just spend your time researching about the conflict in Palestine and, well, Palestine, Israel, and why can't you just make a statement about it? It's so easy. And I just think that if you're, like, a fan of Britney, you understand that when she talks about things, especially, like, political things, like, she's been talking recently about, like, plantations and, like, slave owners and that kind of history, she does research before she really talks about it. Or, yeah. And for me personally, if I wanted someone I watched to try and bring awareness to something, I would much, much, much prefer them to have done research and to be able to bring more to the discussion than just, like, the tagline. You know, it's easy to just say Free Palestine, but it's a lot harder to do research and speak about something like that with, like, facts, and being able to bring that to the table, I think, helps increase awareness more than just saying, like, a slogan. Because I think at this point, it's kind of, I think, doing harm to the movement. Because then you have these extremists who are doing this stuff, who are, like, cancelling Britney because she didn't say what they wanted on their time. They want her to work around their time frame. And I just think that that's just such a wrong way to do things, to, like, bully someone into relaying the message you want them to relay, don't you want people to be able to talk about things in depth and share with their audience more than just that? Because it gets to a point where people keep going, okay, but why? You know, and I think that's just like a part of like the human nature. It's like, okay, but why this? Why that? You know? And I think that not enough people actually talk about the facts of the conflict that's happening, you know? And I would love to have people just talk about the facts. Sounds like I said fats. And if a creator is spending a bit of time trying to do research before they say anything, it's like, I understand that and I get that. And I also understand that, like I said before, their lives are still continuing even though these atrocities are happening. You know, they still have jobs, they still have things that they're working on. They still have, like, all this stuff going on in their life that you don't see. And these people just completely tried to eviscerate her. They tried to put her on the chopping block because she just wasn't working on their time. And I feel like anyone who's watched more than a couple of her episodes of her podcast should know this, that she's like a very left-leaning person. She's a very progressive-leaning person. I think that it's not even like progressive to think... Is it progressive to think that Palestine should be free? I don't know. I don't know what that falls under, but I just think that it's not that crazy of a thing to want. But I also don't blame a creator for not having the time to really delve into it much. You know? It's hard stuff to go into, and we are very privileged to be able to do that in the first place, but it's a privilege that we do have. So, I don't know. I don't know how to... I think I just don't like the way that people treated her for it. I think that she does a good job, and maybe she made one mistake, you know. Is it easy to say free Palestine? Yeah, it is. It's really easy. But I don't want people to be bullied into relaying messages when they themselves don't know everything about it, you know? Like, people say, oh, it's everywhere, like, how can you not know about it? It's possible. It's friggin' possible. You know what a lot of internet personalities do is they don't go on the internet. You know why? Because they don't want to read shit about themselves. Anyway, at this point it just sounds like I'm making up excuses for her. I'm trying to provide a different perspective, one that I don't think I've seen anyone talk about, but I haven't really heard anyone talk about this anyway. I don't know, I think people just don't want to touch it, and I don't really care, because I think that it is insane to try and force people to make snap judgments. And I think ultimately when we try to bully people into being like, oh, follow this, follow that, say this, say that, especially when it's something so, like, such a hot button topic, it's like, what precedence does that set? That we should bully people into quickly, agreeing to things instead of letting them find their way to it? Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. Like, what purpose does it serve? Did we get any closer to achieving our goal when we bullied Britney? Or did it potentially set things back a bit? That's how I feel. I genuinely feel like, and this happens all the time with, like, every movement, there's always extremists and idiot morons who take things, like, way, way too far, where, like, the rest of the group is like, dude, that was, like, too far. God, my jaw is so sore today. Anyway, and these people always ruin movements. Like, I am forever annoyed at the people who call themselves feminists who are actually just misandrists. Yeah, I'll say it. God, we're getting friggin' political today. But I'm saying it. I am so sick and tired of people associating feminism with misandry, because there are misandrists who call themselves feminists. I hate it because I'm not a man hater. I don't hate men. I don't hate men. I don't hate groups of people. I think that's ridiculous. I understand being hurt by people and then having trouble around those groups. I understand that. I completely empathize with that. I have a lot of my own things that I have experienced with, men, bad men. But if I was to write off all men, I wouldn't be in like the wonderful thing that I'm in at the moment, I wouldn't have got to experience how wonderful it is to have a partner who's like, I don't even know if I can articulate it that well. It's just like, yeah, having a partner. If I wrote off all men, I'd be so much more poorer for it, You know how they say, like, you're rich in life because there are people who enrich it? Not, like, monetarily, but, like, vibes. I'm rich in vibes. So, yeah, I just think that we would have more to gain by, I don't know, like, I would have eaten up a Brittany Broski, like, here's Palestine, here's the facts, here's what I've learned, here's what I've researched. I would have eaten that shit up so much, but now I think she's not even going to touch it with a 10-foot pole after what happened. The fallout was horrendous and loud, and I think back to my original point, after that happened, I feel like I can tell that something changed for her, because after she got so much backlash, she posted this video of her and she was like crying, and she was like, absolutely, free Palestine, I'm sorry, I did the wrong thing, I should have done something sooner, blah blah blah. And I just think that it's so hard, because like people make content, they bring you into their life, and you think you know them, you think you know their life, and you just fucking don't. And then you demand things of them, and they could be going through all kinds of fucking shit, and then they have to make a video kissing your ass, I guess. That's kind of how I feel about it. Yeah. And I feel like that's pretty controversial to say, but now she's like, oh, I can't go on the cancelled podcast because Tanner's controversial, so she goes on there, her fucking fans are gonna egg her to death or something, which I completely understand why she would think that, why she would be so wary of that. And I just think it's kind of shitty for Tanner to say, like, bring it out into the open, Like, this is why people don't fucking like you. This is why, I don't know. It kind of just is, though. You just don't do that, right? If she was feeling bothered by it, she should have sorted it out in the DMs. She should have been like, oh, it hurts that you say that, you really don't think that we'd have overlap of fans, or you really don't think it's worth it, and just keep it in the DMs. And if it's really bothering you, take it to therapy. Don't fucking take it to the internet and post about it on your fucking podcast. Because now this shit just happens. Now everyone's upset with Britney because they're like, we don't understand. We'd totally love it if you went on there. Ugh. Exhausting. And then people are like, well, she went on Theo Von and he is way more controversial than Tanner. Is he? Is he controversial? Because I don't think I've ever heard anything about comedian Theo Von doing something like bad. Now, to be fair, I don't follow him at all. I don't know shit about him, but so I guess I would explain why I haven't heard anything. But I don't follow Tanner. Never interacted with her channel or any of the people around her, and yet I know about all these fucking things that she's done. Anyway, I mean, to be fair to her, she has rehabilitated her image a lot. I think she's doing a lot better these days by the sounds of it. So, I don't know. It's like so complicated, I think, because she's been getting really buddy-buddy with Trisha Paytas at the moment. And that whole circle of things is just weird. It's just weird. I don't know. It's bizarro. It's like the circle of friends in like the YouTube space, and I guess now the YouTube podcasting space. It's like when friends just date friends. It's like you have a friend group and everyone's mingled with someone at one point or another. That's kind of what it feels like to me. It's kind of like, you know? But, come on guys. If there's one takeaway we can take away from with this podcast was, goddamn, leave that shit either in the DMs or take it to therapy. Tana, you can afford therapy, honey. If it was really bothering you, you just bring it up with her. I'm so annoyed reiterating it, but I am. Ugh. I don't know. I just can't imagine being the type of person to just like break DMs, break privacy over something so menial. All she said was that my fans wouldn't like it, so I don't want to do it, and I don't think that's a mean thing to say, especially in Tana's case. I really don't. I don't think it's mean. Anyway, that was heavy, so let's cheer things up a little bit. Oh yeah, OJ Simpson died. So that's something. OJ Simpson died. Isn't that crazy? Oh god, I'm gonna remember this forever. You know when they say like when certain people die and you're like, man, where were you when that happened? Man, where were you? With OJ Simpson, it's like, man, how'd you find out? Well, I found out because some guy, I woke up, it's Australia, I wake up, the news has already hit everything, but I was asleep. I get on my phone, and the very first fucking video on my phone on TikTok was someone talking about Caitlyn Jenner. Caitlyn Jenner made a tweet saying good riddance at OJ Simpson. Now at first, I read the tweet's date as being like they posted this in 2011. Okay. So I'm like, okay, what is this guy even talking about? But I'm listening because I enjoy listening about Caitlyn Jenner drama, okay? Anything Kardashians, I love hearing the drama. So I'm listening, and I'm thinking to myself like, why is this person talking about tweets from 2011? That's crazy. That's insane. Mind you, it wasn't even Caitlyn Jenner in 2011. I'm pretty sure it was like 2016, 2017 when Bruce transitioned to Caitlyn, right? So I'm still waking up, and then I'm thinking, I'm looking, and I'm like, wait a second, I'm gonna read the comments because I don't understand what this guy's talking about. Oh no, the guy was saying, oh, Caitlyn Jenner, it's an awful big thing for you to say this about OJ when, you know, you killed someone in a car accident, allegedly, and yeah. So then I'm reading the comments like, what does this have to do with OJ? And then suddenly one of the comments was like, this is how I found out OJ died. And I was like, huh? OJ died? What? Yeah, that was my reaction. A reenactment. So I hop on Twitter and I'm like, I'm gonna look at the trending tab. I'm like, Caleb, OJ died. I'm looking at the trending tab. And I'm like, okay. And then I see it and I'm like, oh, fuck. If his name's trending, you know that's it. That means it's true. And so then one of the top tweets I read was like, no way. How did I find out from Satan on Twitter that OJ's dead? And then Satan tweeted out, guys, OJ just appeared. What the hell? Satan on Twitter tweeted that OJ's in hell. And that's how some people found out. Which I think is hilarious. I think that is so fucking funny that that's what happened. For some people. Mine wasn't as funny. I feel like some people had funnier ways of finding out. Mine was more like confused. Confusion and wakefulness. Tiredness? I don't know. Yeah, so that's why I think we should continue to keep Twitter and TikTok. Because it makes you find out about these things in a funnier way. There's nothing funnier about death than finding out about it from Satan on Twitter. Thank God. And you just know that God could not make banger tweets like that. Like, imagine if God's like, dude, what the hell? Michael Jackson just showed up in heaven? That's crazy, dude. Okay, who cares? But when Satan tweets, you got that shit notifications turned on. I want to know who showed up in fucking Satan land. Okay, that's my cheering up portion of the podcast. Update. I still have not done the iPhone iPod video because I can't find my iPod. And I am very busy with other things. I was tempted to say lazy, but that's not true because I spent all weekend very productively. I spent all of Saturday trudging, gardening, mining, giving gifts, playing Stardew Valley. And then Sunday I spent cleaning, so yeah. And I'm gonna finish this podcast and I'm gonna right back to Stardew Valley. Yeah, I'm not streaming today because, oh my god, guess what? I'm on my thing. You know what I'm saying, women? I'm experiencing womanhood right now. Hooray for being a woman. I'm on my No, that's not a funny joke. But I'm on my period. You get me? I got the thing happening to me now. And you know, if you don't know, periods come with cramps. And cramps come with literally like keeling over and being like, ooh, ooh. Sometimes, not all the time. So yeah, I'm taking a bit of a sickie today because I do not feel good. I feel bad. And God, clearly I am in not good shape because my jaw is like, I have TMJ problems, but like today it's like, it's really bad. I don't know why. I must have been tensing up real bad last night. Thank God I have a night splint. I have a night splint and it saves me. I didn't realize how like flat my teeth started to get. I used to have these sharp canines. They used to be so fucking sharp. My teeth look really yellow in here. My teeth used to be so sharp, my canines. They get so flat now. Like once I started looking at it. I didn't notice it until my dentist pointed it out. And then I started looking and I started going, holy fuck. I have ground my teeth down like crazy. That's, yeah. Moochie, my cat's letting me know that it's time to feed them. Moochie, hello, can you stop? Alright, well, I better go. Hello. I better head off and feed my cats, and we're gonna keep working. We're gonna work on finding that iPod. We really gotta. I guess I'm just kind of procrastinating it because I have a feeling I know where it is, but in order to get to where I know where it is, it's not gonna be good. So, alright. I will see you in the next episode of Catching Up with Kate. We will talk about some things. We'll be talking about life, probably, and we're gonna have some crazy gossip that hasn't even happened yet. You know what I'm saying? The only podcast in the world where I can guarantee you we will be gossiping about things that we do not yet know about. Wow. Wow, isn't the future great? Yeah. Okay. All right. See you later and take care of yourself, okay? Goodbye.